You know the feeling. It's 2 a.m. Your body is completely drained, ready for sleep, but your brain is sprinting. You're replaying a conversation from 6 hours ago, analyzing every word, and drafting responses for situations that haven't even happened. It's exactly like putting a Ferrari in neutral and pinning the gas pedal to the floor. The engine roars, the wheels spin, you burn through massive amounts of fuel, but you don't move forward a single inch. When you try to explain this exhaustion to other people, they usually offer the same shallow advice. Just relax, stop overthinking it, as if you haven't already tried to hit the off switch 1,000 times. Living with a mind that refuses to power down feels like a brutal psychological sentence. It leaves you lying in the dark, convinced that your brain is broken or that you are inherently flawed. But clinical research from Yale and the University of Michigan points to a different conclusion.
People who get stuck in these endless thought loops aren't weak. They typically test extremely high for pattern recognition and emotional intelligence. Psychologists define this clinical behavior as maladaptive rumination, a state where the mind endlessly chews on the same thought patterns without reaching a resolution. Look at this radar diagram. Your nervous system operates like this high-tech military sweep. It is constantly scanning your environment, processing incoming data, and searching for hidden meanings beneath the surface of every interaction. The cost of running this radar 24/7 is steep. It drains your sleep quality, triggers severe social anxiety, and causes analysis paralysis, leaving you frozen at crossroads, terrified of making the wrong choice. Which brings us to a massive biological mystery. If this brain is highly intelligent and capable of sharp insight, why does it willingly trap itself in a draining, exhausting cycle that it knows is completely illogical? To find the answer, we have to look back at how this habit formed. For a huge portion of overthinkers, constant scanning began as a childhood adaptation to an unpredictable environment. If you grew up in a home where adult moods could shift without warning, or where small mistakes led to harsh criticism, your developing brain learned a logical survival strategy: anticipate everything to stay safe. Inside the brain, the system trying to maintain order is the prefrontal cortex. Think of it as your logical CEO, in charge of rational planning and hitting the brakes on panic. Operating in the background is the default mode network, or DMN. This network is responsible for generating internal chatter and drafting scenarios for the future. This animation shows what happens during a rumination spiral. The structured blue grid at the front is your logical CEO, but watch what happens. The sheer bandwidth of the background DMN surges forward, completely overwhelming the logic center. This hyper-vigilant security system successfully hijacks your brain's logic center, treating every abstract thought as a threat it needs to neutralize to keep you safe. Even if it started as a defense mechanism, that still leaves us with the central paradox. Why would an intelligent adult brain actively choose to stay in such an exhausting, hijacked state? The answer lies in a neuroscience concept called the illusion of mental progress. Every time you solve a problem, your brain releases small hits of dopamine, the chemical responsible for motivation and reward. This diagram maps out the catch to that reward system. Your brain's chemical receptors cannot distinguish between solving a real-world problem and solving an entirely imagined one. Every time you run a fake disaster scenario, analyze an impossible risk, or win a shower argument in your head, you get paid. The brain rewards itself with dopamine just for the act of thinking. It turns overthinking into a chemical addiction loop. It operates exactly like mindless social media scrolling. You keep feeding the machine to maintain a false sense of safety. This is why telling yourself to just stop thinking is scientifically useless. You cannot use pure logic to outthink a system driven by a powerful chemical addiction. Because shutting down the thoughts is biologically impossible, top therapists don't even try. Instead, their goal is to change your structural relationship to those thoughts. The first intervention to do this is a psychological tool called cognitive diffusion. In practice, cognitive diffusion is a simple shift in your inner language. Instead of getting pulled into a statement like, "I am a total failure," you take a step back and say, "I am having the thought that I am a failure." This heat map illustrates the immediate neurological result of that subtle shift in phrasing. By recognizing the thought as just data, you physically redirect blood flow away from your emotional panic center and right back into your logical prefrontal cortex. This verbal separation places you on the shore of that toxic river, watching the current flow past instead of being swept away by it. You are no longer a victim of the stream, you are the observer of the data. But sometimes cognitive logic isn't enough to break the loop. Because your nervous system is running on ancient survival software, you have to use your physical body to retrain it. Somatic grounding forces a manual override by flooding the brain with physical sensations. You cut the anxiety stream with intense, real-world sensory experiences, like heavy lifting, the 5-4-3-2-1 technique, or splashing your face with ice-cold water. The biological mechanism here is straightforward. The default mode network cannot run imaginary catastrophic scenarios while it is simultaneously forced to process intense, real-time physical data. You force the system to pause. This sudden influx of sensory data sends an immediate all-clear signal to your nervous system. It proves to your brain that right here, in this exact moment, there is no predator. Your overthinking proves you have a powerful mind, one that worked incredibly hard to keep you alive when the world felt unpredictable. Your goal isn't to kill that sensitivity. Your goal is to finally teach your overworked bodyguard that the war is over and it is safe to rest.